we'll dig into your clutch assembly next, or your clutch side here. Go ahead and pull all these Allens off here around this cover here. What you'll see underneath this cover is your clutch. Now, if you're doing a lot of clutch work, you're gonna have to tear into it more than just this cover with this 2, 4, 6, 7 Allens on it. It's gonna be, you can pull your clutch disc out with this, cover removed, and your clutch pack there, but you're not gonna be able to pull a whole lot more out. So you have to remove these 8mm bolts all the way around there. This is an area that you'll need a gasket. A couple different areas on this cover that you can tap with a plastic hammer there. One of them's over here, kind of by the front cylinder. The other one's back over here by the dipstick, just being really careful what you're tapping on over there. And then once you get in behind there, once you can get your fingers in behind there, you can pull that off fairly easily. All right, and we're able to pull it off just like that. Now you can see your entire clutch pack there, your basket, you can see your cam chain, your timing marks here, got your pulsar, got water lines, oil pump down in here. So, all right, pull our clutch discs off here. I'd like to go ahead and remove these. We'll go ahead and remove the springs and the bolts here. And then what we'll do is pull this top plate. And underneath here is here's your rod, your clutch release rod here that runs all the way through. And then we've got a nut on here. All right, we have got an 1 3/16" socket on here, and it is a 12-point socket. And I like to hold this hub so it doesn't turn. Go ahead and remove that. Now, going back together, you'll see that there's a little ding in that nut there, and there's a groove on your actual shaft coming out here that you'll ding right there, and that keeps that from spinning off. So got 2 washers on there, one thicker one. And we'll go ahead and just leave that washer on there. It looks a bit of a challenge to come off of there. Now what I like to do is, that is free, so I like to take and put this back on then. And I take these bolts here and springs, throw them back together. This just kind of keeps everything together as we pull this clutch apart. All right, now we've got everything tight there. Now we can pull our entire clutch pack assembly out all in one piece. We've got a washer on here, and then we can go ahead and pull this clutch basket here. There's a spacer and a bearing in here. Just grooved here, or the spacer sits back underneath of this oil chain here, and so that kind of centers that chain. There's a little bit of pressure, a little bit of tension on that chain there, kind of holds it out. So that is what the tension is that I felt. We've got our cam chain for our rear cylinder that dropped down in here. I'm going to take this out at this time so we don't spin this gear over and break a case. We've got our pulsar here. That bolt we're able to just pull out there. We've got a couple gears in here. This is a spring-loaded gear. Sits on this one here. This one's got splines on it here. It's got your points there. So we'll go ahead and pull those off. This gear we're going to carefully remove there. Those springs are able to just pull right out of there. So I'm actually going to set this gear back on this. What you can do to hold this together, this is splined back here, so to keep everything together, we might just run a bolt down through there to hold everything together. Now our rear cam chain can be removed off of there. We'll set that with the rear cam chain parts, and we've got our pulsar here, and we've got a line that runs all along here. So a handful of 10mm bolts, a couple 12mm bolts to remove that. There's a line holder is there. And then we've got one more wire holder there. That's a 12mm. That's also one of the crankcase bolts holding the cases together. So now we're able to pull that out. All right, we're gonna pull our pulsar out of there now. And then we've got our oil pump chain here. We can go ahead and remove that at this time. Well, let's see. We're gonna have to go ahead and pull that oil gear first. Water line here can just pull out there. Or oil line there. Then we're just gonna pull all these 10 and 12mm bolts. They're gonna have to come out soon anyway. Oil pump gear here. You can hold that oil pump chain, it's best, otherwise that gear is just gonna spin there. Then we can slide that oil pump sprocket off there, and that other gear can go with it. There, that gear sits behind the clutch. We've got a spacer there that will keep with it. Kind of an unusual spacer. It's got grooves on both sides, so make sure that that stays in place where it needs to be there. All right, we've got a shift star here. That one will be spring loaded. And our shift spring there, spring rides on top of that shifter, sits like that. So it puts pressure on it down. You know what, I'm gonna actually pull all these crankcase bolts right now, just to get that done with here. Got 10mm and 12mm. All right, we're able to pull that star off there, get that bolt out of there, and then our shift shaft there with our gear on the end of it was able to kind of work itself out from there. So that is out at this point. I think actually we can get down to these oil pump bolts that we need to. All right, if you can see that there, we've got the shift shaft off here, we've got the shift star. And then I'm working on getting this oil pump out of here without splitting the case. So a couple questions on if that's possible, or if you do have to split the case. So I just wanted to kind of answer a couple of those questions here. All right, we're able to scoot that. It's kind of a mount. It surrounds this oil pump relief valve here. We're able to remove that, and this oil relief valve, I think, is going to come off as well. That oil relief valve came off. The way that we have this motor set up here, just to show you guys what this all entails, we've got everything dropping right back down in the motor. Problem with doing it that way is we're not going to be able to get to a couple of those things that we drop down in there, and I'll show you what those parts are so that you guys just have an idea of what you're getting yourself into if you want to remove that oil pump without splitting this case. And so the answer is yes, you can pull this oil pump without splitting this case, and they've allowed for you to be able to do that with an opening in the case